So, was that really the best we could do? Truly the best we could do? Rishi fucking Sunak? Well, if it's all about, and I know there's going to be people going, you're racist, you don't like it because he's coloured. Well, proportionately speaking, at some point, we had to get one, all right? Doesn't mean I say it's a good or a bad thing. It's always the best man for the job, isn't it? But as we understand now that in his last position he was shit, and if he was shit at that, how is he going to be any better running the country? Well, the fact of the matter is he's not. Now, some of you are still under the illusion that the government is there to act on behalf of the people and to look after the best interests of the people of that country. If you actually believe that still, given recent things like COVID, lockdowns, the way they're treating the economy, gas prices, fuel prices, electric prices, the hike in price food, the reducing farming, making it difficult for farmers, and all the other things that go into really running an economy into the ground. If you believe that's the case, then you're mental. Now, some of you may say, while Labour would do a better job. If you truly believe that, you also really need to take a good look at yourself, because it doesn't matter whether you're Labour. I mean, let's be honest. The leader of the Labour Party, Sir, that's always a good indication that the guy's going to be an outright fucking globalist, right? Because to become a Sir, Dame, whatever it is, you've actually had to prove that you could sell your soul to the devil himself. And, well, we only got to look into getting off his friend as Savile. There's numerous other things, but I'll just touch on that one. So let's go back to the Conservatives, right? And don't forget, Labour and Conservative are two arse of the same fucking, or two cheeks of the same arsehole, right? Or same arse, whatever you want to put it. But a lot of people will be saying, oh, well, you're racist against BAME. Well, crack on if that's what you think. I don't give a fuck anyway. But if it is the best man for the job, we realise that we don't have the best man for the job. But I realised that it was never about the best man for the job, because I realised this, by the way, when it came to the elections over in America. I was thinking to myself, out of all of the people within America, was it really the two best people they could come up with was going to be Trump or Hillary Clinton? Very quickly, common sense denoted that this was never the thing, that it was never about, right, we have found the two best people for the job. It was all about who they were connected to, what they were going to do for the 1%, right, and how bent and corrupt they were. Because if you actually got an honest government, I mean, I don't know as we've ever had an honest government. I'll be completely honest. I think our illusion that years ago that things being better is just that. It's an illusion. And we didn't have the means to find out that actually back then they were just as corrupt and they served the globalists then just as much as they do now. Now, Sunak is part of the new brand of young and upcoming globalist leaders that are the bastard love child of, what's his name? Klaus Schwab. That's a bad thing. Klaus Schwab is the man that's pushing a one world government with a one economy, one currency, and also you, that's you there, will have nothing and you'll be happy. So if you've got something now, right, hopefully, if he gets his way, this is, you'll have nothing. You'll have lost the house, you won't have your own car, you'll take whatever job they give to you, and whatever property that they deem that you will live in, because you won't live in the one you're in now, because in the way they're going to social credit, if you're in a nice house now, that'll be given to somebody who's a complete fucking shithouse, a grass, that kind of thing. And if you are, say for instance, a traditional Brit or you're traditional French and you believe in the culture of your country and you believe in morals and ethics, if you're still around, you'll be living in a probably a tent somewhere, so just be prepared for that. But I would say that Sunak is there just to wind things up, all right? He'll do what the globalists want him to, make no bones about that. But there again, every other person that's been in power before has done what the globalists want, because otherwise they didn't last very long. Liz Truss didn't last very long because she was a buffoon. But don't worry, she will be rewarded for her short time in power. She will be given a nice tasty little pension. She'll be asked to speak at many places where they'll offer her inordinate sums of cash, right? And she's probably now been given positions in corporations or businesses that she'll never actually do fuck all with, right? She's just a name. And it's a way of getting money to them legally. It's a way for paying them for selling their soul. You look at Blair. Blair came into power with, well, nowhere near the 150 million he had in power when he left power. All right, and he's gone on to have some really tasty jobs around the world, and the jobs that they give him were a joke, given the fact that he's put it this way: if the honest people in Great Britain had their way, they would have brought him up on charges of genocide and war crimes and whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I see this as no more than just trying to stir up hatred within the UK between people who are going, so we've got more and more Muslim mayors, we've got more and more Muslims coming into power. Problem is, if they're not educated, they won't realise that he's not a Muslim, right? But he is somebody from India, and obviously the Muslims coming from roughly around that area, and many other parts of the world as well, because this is the other thing. You'll say, oh, Muslims, India. No. They're in every other continent of the world. Predominantly, they're bigger groups of them within Africa and India, but generally speaking, they're all over the place. And my geography isn't that good. But the idea is to make traditional people in Britain who say, why is it we can't have a white prime minister? We are a predominantly white country. Why is it? So the left will speak up and say, you racist bastard. He was obviously the best person for the job. To which the right will retort, we know he's not the best for the job because he was the shittest in his other job. Do you see where this is going? Left, right, divide. So it works well for that. The very fact that Rishi Sunak's missus is part of a very wealthy family over in India, I think the third wealthiest family, and you know, he's never going to struggle for money and probably has no understanding really of the concept of buying a loaf of bread and a pint of milk and not actually having a lot of change out of a fiver. Just wouldn't get it. He doesn't understand, or for that matter, really care a great deal about the likes of myself, and he doesn't actually care about, because that's another thing. He doesn't care about the BAME community, right? He doesn't give two fucks about them. All he cares about is, are you a 1%er? Or are you working for the best interests of the 1%? Now, some of you may be thinking to yourself that, well, surely he's got a lot of financial assets within Great Britain, right? And if he's part of that globalist cabal you talk of, that are going to run the country into the ground, then surely some of his assets will devalue. Well, yeah, of course they will. But do you not think that the people who are putting him into this position of power will make sure that he's more than compensated for any losses that he loses there, because he'll make a shitload more here? He's a businessman at the end, and everybody might think he's a fucking idiot because he was bad as Chancellor, but no, he's no idiot at all. He knows exactly what he's doing, as do the rest of Klaus Schwab's shower of shit. Who have we got? You could look at New Zealand, Klaus Schwab's babe. Mind you could have picked a better looking one. Australia, Germany, France, Great Britain now, and before actually. Where else have we got? Do you know what? I haven't got a clue. There's numerous places around, and they're all pushing this one agenda: that they will collapse all the economies of the globe, and they will end up offering you something better. When you've lost more or less everything because their incredible bad management of every country around the globe. This is not just Great Britain, France, Italy, Germany. This is global. Because the financial system, and I've talked about it until I'm blue in the face, the financial system couldn't carry on the way it was. Because it had been so mismanaged by greedy bastards in the past, it had to collapse. Now there's an age of empire, and we're at the end of that age of the empire, and then something new will come from it. Well, there's something new they have to plan. They can't just let it a chance, because these people have huge sums of money, power. I mean, the power is the most important thing, but the money obviously is very important. They have land, they have businesses, they have all sorts of stuff, and they have to manage to make sure that when this transformation happens, that they come out of the other side still as leading. I mean, many people might think that, say for instance, these rich bankers that I talk of, that these families, there's about 5 or 6 particularly rich families, that they think, well, they haven't been around that long, have they? Well, they've changed names over the years. Some people might not know that, but they can go back many years, and they've managed more than one of these disasters before. They've got some sort of pedigree at this, and they will manage this one out. I'm actually struggling to think of any way around this other than something I can't talk about on here, and there isn't. If voting made a difference nowadays, they wouldn't give it to us. And if we actually think that we're living in a democracy, then you must be mental. You're given two parties and both of them serve the same bank, or the same globalists, or the same whatever you want to call it. Their interests, they were picked, they were put there. I mean, as I said, if you really think the only two fucking capable people for the job when Trump got in was Trump or Hillary, you'd be mental. There's far more astute businessmen out there. There is far more clever people out there. There's far more honourable people there than, say, for instance, those two candidates. But I had to do some digging, and I found out that the real honest people, the media won't give them any coverage until they literally bury them, because they can't have some uncharted person coming up with honesty and integrity that has nothing on them. It's just unacceptable. Here's the thing for you, and you might not know about it. You may have heard of a guy called Richard Nixon. Well, if you go back in time, they found Richard Nixon through an advert. There were some very rich globalists that put an advert out for somebody who was sneaky, underhanded, low in character, that would do whatever his bosses want, and in return would gain fame, fortune and power. Nixon slid into there like the oily little son of a bitch he was, right? And he basically got canned a few times because he wasn't quite as good as what he was up against, which were also, now looking at it, globalists. And some of these globalists come from very shady backgrounds. I mean, we all look at the Kennedy family and think, oh, what an honest family they were. Now, admittedly, I must admit that JFK himself was trying to do some seriously honourable things. But when you look where the money came from to get him to where he was, well, you've got to look into his dad. Well, his dad was known as Bootleg Joe because he made his money during Prohibition as bootlegging. Well, that's illegal. And then you could also look at the fact that Bootleg Joe actually had quite a lot of sympathies for the Nazis. The Nazis that his son, by the way, apparently Jack Kennedy, JFK, right? That's what they called him, Jack. Him and his brother were quite disgusted by the actions of his dad and wanted to try to wash themselves clean. And yet he didn't do very well, even though they went off and fought, well, one of them went off and fought the war and was a war hero, and his eldest son died in the war. When he came back, and the eldest son died so that Jack Kennedy had to be, because after the old man, right, Bootleg Joe, disgraced himself because he wanted to be the leader of United States, president, I believe they call it. When he disgraced himself so badly through actions that had something to do in the UK, and I can't quite remember just offhand, after that he realised that he didn't stand a chance, so he was going to go over to the eldest son. Well, the eldest son, as I said, died during the Second World War. So that then fell to, well, wasn't the run to the litter, but JFK wasn't a well man, but they then put all the pressure on him. Now, when it came to, JFK was running against Nixon. Nixon was another corrupt bloke. Anyway, basically speaking, Nixon looked like he was going to win it. So Bootleg Joe got in touch with Sam Giancana and other people like that and asked them to sway the votes in certain places. And JFK won the election by the smallest margin going. And I have to say that the organised crime thought that JFK was going to do well for them. Turns out that he turned on them along with his brother. That's part of the problem. And then he went against the globalists. You don't do that. So the long and the short of it is, when you pretend that you're going to be corrupt and serve the people that put you there, and then you turn out actually that you're not going to, you get killed. There it is. But coming back to Great Britain and the problem in hand, because I did digress there somewhat, what we're going to end up with is our economy slipping into what can only be described as a double dip recession, and then it will get worse from there on in. Many small businesses will collapse, the ones that haven't already collapsed. Some of the big businesses are going to go under as well. I don't know if you're looking at some of these big chains of food stores, Asda, Co-op, Tesco's and stuff. If you looked around at the shops, they're not doing that well with stuff on the shop floor, you could say. But I would imagine Jeff Bezos is doing absolutely fantastic. But anyway, a lot of these big companies will go under. We will carry on suffering. Interest will go through the roof. People will lose their houses, as they're meant to, all right? And people will struggle for food. We know all of this. But it doesn't make a difference whether we've got Sunak, whether we have Boris back, who incidentally is a Bilderberger. Now I'd imagine that if because I don't know whether Sunak's a Bilderberger or not, but I would imagine that he probably fucking is, all right? And if he wasn't then, I should imagine he will be very soon. And that's an interesting group that you should look into, but I won't go into that now. However, was he the best of the job? No. Is it racist not to want him there? Depends on for what reason, but to be honest, it's probably tribalism, not racism. You might not want him there because you don't think he represents us, and you'd be right. But if you think anybody in the Conservative Party or the Labour Party actually truly give two fucks about those people they're meant to represent, then you're away with the fairies, I'm afraid. And you do have to wake up. Now, there's a lot of people that say we should have, because capitalism is failing us. It is, right? We have a sham capitalism. We've got like capitalism for the poor, so you could fail and lose everything, right? But for the 1% and then slightly below them, there's like it's like a safety net. I would almost call it socialism, because they're going to be propped up by the system. However, some people are asking, well, if these corrupt bastards can do what they want with capitalism, then surely we should axe it all and get socialism. Right, you need to have a think about yourself as well. Socialism will ensure we've all got fuck all, without any shadow of a doubt, but still there'll be the people at the top that are still making a huge sets of money, and there'll still be globalism, all right? So, you're wrong. Communism, right. A lot more people will die, a lot more people will be starving, a lot more people will have fuck all, and there'll still be people globalists. And incidentally, during the time of the Cold War and stuff like that, there were people that made sons of money on the black market you wouldn't believe. You only got to look around at the word oligarch and look at the oligarchs that came out of Russia and how did they make their money. And now they have such unfathomable sets of money that they can go off and buy football clubs and all sorts of other things. Amazing. But there you go. There will always be the 1%, which will always bend the rules. They will always be in control because they pay for everything. They fund both sides, okay, so they never lose. Look into the Second World War and people that funded both sides there. They would never lose. But we're all fed shit. And we all truly are confused at the moment. I don't know anybody who's got an honest and decent heart and who's a critical thinker that actually knows the way forward. But one thing I am sure of is that our future is going to get a lot worse, and there will be huge sums of violence that we don't want. But that will be the way of it. And there'll be no way around it, because that's what these people are ensuring. There you go. That's enough for today. I think we've done, fuck me, 18 minutes. So there you go. I'm going to get off now. Sorry I haven't put a video about for a while. I've been run down. So I had a few days off. But I hope this video you like. Let me know. Like, share, comment. And if we're in good form this weekend, we might put a live stream out. But I was rough as fuck last weekend, so I didn't. Don't forget to look in the links and descriptions, which are in the comments. Not the comments, the description. Idiot Rev. They have links to stuff like Telegram. They have links to my Facebook. They have links to my other YouTube channels. They have links to Discord if you want to come and talk to people. I've had a little bit of a thinning out in there to make it a bit easier for people like myself who are dyslexic. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to carry on about my day and pay my taxes so that I can get absolutely fucking rinsed out and go home at the end of the week with very little after I've paid all my bills. Yay! God, I'm sounding bitter. Or am I? Anyway, take care, and I'll see you in a bit.